Hey, well, here we are, another episode of the Lockbox presented by the Grandon Group, Arizona's #1 brother and sister real estate team. And guess who's back today? Angela.
Woo woo!
All right.
I know. I'm excited.
Well, the episodes are not the same when you're not here.
Oh. Well, I'm glad I'm back.
Yeah, so what were you doing?
Yeah.
Were you on vacation?
I was not. I was doing some continuing education classes. It was actually an all-day thing, so I was learning.
Well, that's all right.
Being better.
So there you go, people. So doing loans is not as easy as just sitting there taking a loan app. You have to actually take classes.
Absolutely.
And renewal hours, just like doctors, lawyers, whatever.
Yeah, correct. Yep. So it was an all-day thing, so that's what I was doing. So
Is it,
super
you have to do that every year?
Yep, every year.
Wow.
Which is good because, I mean, everything's changed. Some things stay the same, but other things are constantly changing. So it's just great to be up to speed on what's going on out there.
No, that's good. And there's a lot of new loan people out there.
Yes, there's lots of lenders.
But a lot of people get into it thinking, this is easy. I'm going to just do it.
There is so much that goes into doing a loan. Like it is definitely not just pulling in credit, getting some pay stubs. It is a tremendous undertaking. And to be able to close a loan and do so with, client care and just keeping everybody up to speed, it's a lot. It takes a lot.
So it's amazing because there'll be people that come and they're like, hey, I got a 750 credit score, but they can't get a loan.
Yeah, so I mean, there's so many factors that go into getting qualified. So that's the really great thing about the Hendricks Team is you can call in and we go through all your options. So not just, great if you have an outstanding credit score. You still might want to use some different loan programs, but we go through the scenarios. We take a look at like what's your end goal and what's the best way to get there. So
no, that's great. And then for those of you that think you have bad credit, I've seen you guys do some loans with some low scores.
Yes.
Good jobs, high paying, and maybe they just have bad credit, or what we say is bad credit, but you can still get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is if somebody has, a credit score that's on the lower side of things, there's different things that we can do to help them sometimes really quickly get that score up. Or if not, we do work with a credit repair specialist that we can connect them to put a plan in place to get their scores where they need to be to get them into the home that they want.
So Angela is with the Hendricks Team, VIP Mortgage, which is a outstanding company, and I highly recommend getting pre-qualified or even calling them. But so this is a prime example, as for those of you looking to buy a house, why they need to be your first step.
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
It's great to go on the GrandonGroup.com site or StaceyGrandon.com or GrandonGroup.com. And whatever sites we have, Corcoran, and look at houses. That's great. Mm-hmm. But if you're really serious about buying,
you have to get pre-qualified. So yeah, especially in this market, and a lot of, as you know, when you spend the time to take clients out to look at homes, you want to make sure when you're writing this offer that client can actually purchase that home. So same thing on, for sellers, they want to know that this person who is writing an offer is actually going to be able to purchase this home so that they don't get under contract and, 20 days later it falls out because the loan was denied or something. So,
absolutely.
From a seller's standpoint, there's time, money that goes into that. And, of course, they're planning their next move. So
absolutely.
It's a big deal.
And it's amazing. And you'll check everything out first. So there's nothing worse than getting to the closing table and all of a sudden you're like, can't close the loan because this person had a bankruptcy 4 years ago or maybe some tax liens.
Exactly. So we do everything up front. I know, different lenders do things differently. What we pride ourselves on is doing all that hard work up front so that when we, once we send out that pre-approval, like there's not a chance that that's not going to go through unless, if you go out and buy a car right before you're trying to close on buying a home, like that's going to, throw up a red flag. But
and the other thing, some people will go and pay off a credit card while they're in the middle of the loan process, and it screws you up.
Right.
They think they're doing something great, but then all of a sudden they're like, oh, wow.
Exactly.
I can't. It lowers your score or whatever happens.
Right. So there's a lot of, and throughout that process, we spend a lot of time with clients letting them know like the do's and don'ts while you're going through the process. Because, like you said, something as simple as, hey, I'm just going to pay this off because I I'm almost done, and I just want to get it done, and they think they're doing the right thing, but sometimes that does affect the loan and process.
Now this wasn't through the Hendricks team, but we had a client several years back, great credit score and everything, but his debt to income ratio, which is an important factor for a lot of people.
Yep.
He was right there for an $800,000 house.
Okay.
10 days before closing, he goes and takes out a credit card for about $20,000 in furniture.
No.
And guess what?
Darn it.
Because your credit's getting pulled right before you close again too, right?
It's so, it does get checked. So yeah, if there's something like that, it's gonna be a red flag. And they're gonna go, and it could affect those. It could and it could not, right? Affect those. It will 100% make us have to get more documentation.
Right.
So at the very least, it's going to create more work.
And maybe delay the closing.
And it could, delay the closing. Or like you said, if it's something that's substantial, it might put you at those thresholds to where you no longer qualify, which would be terrible.
So this is the number one reason why you guys have to do it. And today's episode, we were supposed to have some guests, but they had a death in the family, so we didn't have them come on.
Right.
So we're just going to talk about some of the emails you sent. And this was one of them, people getting qualified. Cannot stress enough how important it is to get qualified through the Hendricks team.
Absolutely. Yep, it should definitely be your first step. I mean, obviously, reach out to the Grandon Group. Let them know that you're looking to.
Isn't that nice? That was a good little. You should reach out to the Hendricks team.
Oh yeah. Well, no, but first, I mean, you want to reach out to the Grandon Group. You guys are going to be the ones to show the homes, but I would say equally as important is reaching out to the Hendricks team and just
and getting the ball started,
getting an idea of what that looks like. It's literally a phone call, and then we take you all through the next step, so it makes it easy.
No, it's absolutely important. How can people reach you?
Oh, yeah. By phone, 623-979-5523, or by email. It's Hendricks Team at vipmtginc.com, or, of course, they can reach me directly.
That is such a good picture.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, thanks. It's a little dated, I'm not going to lie. But,
Hey, it fits the VIP team.
Yeah, I love it.
So we had an email. We actually had a couple emails. We get emails on the show, and I try to answer them. It's not like we get tons, but we get some. And so one of them that stuck out this week was, should we sell our home by ourselves or use a realtor? So
oh boy.
They call them FSBOs, for sale by owner
yes.
or use a realtor.
Yeah,
so
great question.
And it is a good question.
Yeah.
And automatically you think, oh, well, if I sell it myself, I'm going to save 5 or 6% on commission.
Right.
So I don't know, I'm not a math major, but I can guarantee you that is 100% wrong. And so we'll talk about it. So I came up with 8 reasons, and
oh wow,
yeah, I know,
fancy. Hey, you did. I see that.
See
Good
on my
job.
little handwritten paper here, my notebook
yeah.
here. So thank you, Robin. Thank you. So we'll talk about this. So why you should use a realtor, specifically the Grandon Group, Arizona's #1 brother and sister real estate team. And hey, by the way, we're handling Flagstaff and Prescott now.
Yes,
so we've been doing
that.
a ton of stuff up there.
It's awesome. It's beautiful up there.
It is. It's so much cooler. Gosh. It's like 110 here today, and it's like 85 there.
Yeah, I love it.
So it's great. So, okay. So for those of you that are thinking, okay, I'm not going to hire a realtor. We're going to try to convince you as to why. And if it's not us, you should interview your realtors, just like you should interview lenders.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be a good fit, and you need to feel comfortable and be able to trust who you're working with. Absolutely.
No, absolutely, yeah. Without a doubt. Mm-hmm. And sometimes personalities just don't click. That's why, correct. Like your team has several different loan officers. We have different team members. And I mean, sometimes my personality doesn't click with somebody, which I don't know
get
how
out
that's
of here.
possible.
I doubt that.
You're right, it clicks with everybody. So a realtor, why you should hire a realtor compared to a FSBO. So many of you will say, okay, we're going to list the house. We're not going to use a realtor. Going to put a sign out there. So first of all, which doesn't happen because we've had in other episodes with Jay Macklin here and stuff, how to avoid this. But some realtors won't show a for sale by owner because there's no commission involved.
I've heard that.
And I think it's horrible that anybody would let money get in the way of making someone's dream happen.
Right. And because you're supposed to be serving the client.
Correct. So that's the first thing. So you list your house, and so you're going to miss a lot of realtors, and there's like 40-some thousand out here. Not saying all of them will do it, but some are going to say, I'm not showing it because I'm not going to get a commission, which if you do your job right, there's ways to do that.
Right. But
the other thing, too, is there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to look at your house because of disclosures.
Right.
And that's the number one thing that gets us into trouble as
Absolutely.
realtors and lenders
Yes.
is if you don't disclose.
Right. Well, and as somebody who's purchasing, you want all that information.
Absolutely.
I mean, you want to know exactly what's gone on with this property, as much as possible.
No, you need to. And
Because you're
sometimes,
investing so much.
depending on the loan, you won't be able to get a loan if certain things aren't
Correct.
fixed, right?
Correct. Yep.
So if the for sale by owner is not, we call them SPUDs, seller disclosures.
Mm-hmm.
If everything's not disclosed, and it's a legal document, by the way, sometimes you're not going to get a loan if it's not happened, if you don't fill it out
You
correctly.
definitely, I mean, that is a huge piece of the puzzle. I think as a buyer, as a consumer, we always want to know what, what are we purchasing? And the SPUDS gives you all the background of, what's gone on with the property, the major stuff, at least, and some other not so major things, but
Well,
it's super important.
And the other thing too is, regardless of what you think, and even in a hot market,
Mm-hmm.
I know people are like, "Oh, if the market's so hot, I can just put it up there." You always sell faster if you have an agent, if you
Yeah.
have a good agent that's
Correct.
working for you. You know what
Correct.
I mean? So okay, so the number 2 thing is, if you go to sell your house, you're emotional about the house. You've been living there, so you
Oh,
put it on
yeah.
the market. I come in and look at your house like, Angela, your house is, smells like cat pee or this or that. You get emotional about it, right? And her house doesn't smell like cat pee, but your house is clean. So, but you know what I mean? So people
Yeah.
get emotional about little things. Oh, look at this. I painted this wall red, which
Yes,
most people don't care about.
correct.
So by using a realtor, you're kind of taking out the emotion compared to where a seller is like, I put these new windows in, which you probably put the wrong ones in, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or if you're coming in to invest, maybe you're going to change stuff.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And sometimes when you're coming into, I think having that realtor, it gives, it's a buffer, right, between the seller and
Yep.
the buyer. So sometimes when you're going in to look at a property as a buyer, and you're coming in and you're going to make this your home. So right off the bat, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to change this, paint this, add this. And if the seller is there while you're talking about this, it's probably not going to come off very good if
Right.
this is an emotional process for them. So if
Absolutely.
this is their family home that they've, raised all their kids in, and you're talking about coming in and changing this and that and whatever, they're probably going to, let their emotions take over and maybe go, I don't want to sell to somebody who's going to make all these changes. So I
Right.
think it's great to have, just the real estate agent there is a buffer. And so you can explain that to your agent, and their agent can be aware of some of those things, but the seller doesn't need to be aware of those things.
We'll give you a Scorpion term. Since we're in Arizona, the agent will take the sting out of rejection.
Good
How about that?
job.
You like that?
Yes,
So,
you're so
hey,
clever.
and that's the other thing too. On the seller disclosures, you have to disclose if your house has scorpions and different types of bugs, and if you don't, it's considered a legal issue. So, agents, they take the emotional stuff out of there, right?
I agree.
So, another thing that we've talked about in other episodes is full-time agents for your full-time life. Angela's full-time at the Hendricks Team. The entire
Absolutely.
team over there is full-time.
Absolutely.
So they're
yes.
not leaving the job or coming late to go flip burgers or something like that.
No, we are 100% dedicated to doing loans, and we do that all week long and on the weekends. So we are definitely full time.
No, and the realtors save you time. I mean, you avoid just a bunch of.
Yeah.
They should be full-time. They should be able to reach you all the time. This should be their job because you're making one of the most important decisions of your life.
Right. I completely agree that you need to hire a realtor that is present and available when you need them. And there is so much that goes into selling a home. I know that, sometimes people at the commission get in that figure, play a big role into whether or not they want to, hire a realtor or do for sale by owner. But I think what people don't always understand is, even the negotiating part, that is a huge, and that is probably next on your list. So sorry if I stole that.
No,
but
you're good.
Negotiating is huge. So if I can do a for sale by owner, and I think I can get, let's just throw out a number, $300,000 for my house. And so I list it and it sells the next day and I go, oh, wow, that was easy. I don't have to pay commissions, whatever. I'm just talking about in this market. The thing that I think people don't understand is okay, if I would have used a realtor who does this every day, who knows the market, who knows the community, they may have listed my house for 340 or 350 or whatever.
Right.
And it would have sold in a day or two or three. But what is the cost of not hiring the realtor at that point?
No,
right?
You're right. That was the next point.
I would
on
have
there.
gladly paid commission in order to get a higher price for my home
And you would
put more in my pocket.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the other thing, which is
And
the
not
next
have
on
to
the
do
list,
the work.
is exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's the other thing too. By hiring a full-time agent, you know, an agent come in and say, you might say, "Oh, my house is great. Look at this," and I might say,
Yeah.
"Well, you're going to need to get rid of this, this, and this, or change that."
Yeah.
And we give you kind of an unbiased opinion.
Correct. Yep, you're the professional.
So, which brings you to the next part. By hiring an agent, if you're doing a for sale by owner, and again, you guys might have tons of friends, and I know you think you've got Zillow, which is not exactly what you think it is, and truly on all those different sites, the fact is that a good agent will have we have access to large networks of people.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
all over
I mean,
the world,
that's
too.
the biggest. Yeah. In other agents, right? So, I mean, how many times have you needed, had a buyer who wanted a property in a specific area, and with your networking, were able to reach out to realtors that work specifically in that area and say, "Hey, look, I have a buyer that's looking for XYZ." And then they were able to connect you.
No,
I
absolutely.
mean, that happens all the time. So,
Well, and the other thing, by
Huge.
listing your house as a for sale by owner and not using a realtor, you have signed yourself up for a 24-hour-a-day open house.
Exactly. Yes.
So, and we know most owners
Yeah.
are, you got your jobs, you got kids, you got all that
Yeah.
stuff going on. So, you got people that call, "Hey, I need to see a house now. I'm on my lunch break." Well, I'm working. So
Right.
you're actually missing sales
Opportunity.
and opportunities and stuff like
Exactly.
that. So and the next thing is, by having a realtor and a great lender, this is probably one of the most important things.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing worse in any market than what we call the tire kickers. The person that can't afford something and they come in, so we weed out unqualified buyers. If you're a for sale by owner, you're letting everybody through your house. They're seeing all
Yeah.
your personal stuff. This way, a realtor
So true.
should qualify you ahead of time. Hey.
Absolutely.
And we get a ton of calls ahead of time on that. "Hey, okay, you called on this house we have over in, wherever it is, and have you been qualified yet?" "Oh, no, I just want to see the house first."
Yeah.
So by the time we show them the house and get them qualified, it's gone. So it's a waste of time for
Right.
everybody involved.
Right. And even at that point, even if what did go under contract and then it fell out, well, you still have to be qualified in order to be able to purchase it. So
Right.
yeah, it's super important to,
No,
to make
absolutely.
sure that you're getting that done.
So we try to get rid of the tire kickers. And then also we insure your property,
Right.
and your safety.
Yeah.
So the last thing you want, because
That's huge.
not in Arizona, because Arizona is a great place, but out there in some of the states there are some weirdos, and it's amazing. And this
Yeah.
happens at some open houses and stuff. But you'll get a nice couple come in, they're dressed like, "Oh, this is my wife," and then the guy will stay downstairs. And then she'll go upstairs, and you can have $1 million cash sitting on the table. They wouldn't touch it, but they want the drugs in the medicine cabinet,
Oh,
the opioids
yeah.
and stuff.
Interesting.
So, there's a lot
Yeah.
of messed up stuff. So,
Right.
as a realtor, you should have that extra precaution. And
Absolutely.
safety.
Well, and you guys are the professionals. So when it comes down to it, I mean, you want, I'm not going to go to you if I need a root canal, but if I need to buy a house or sell my house, I am, because that is what you do day in and day out. I mean, that is your profession.
No,
so
absolutely.
Makes sense.
And now the next one on the list is the trying to convince somebody, well, I'm going to save a ton of money by selling it myself. Well, the fact is you're not, and we'll get into that right now. Realtors should be able to negotiate. And now I'm not talking about sitting down, okay, you want $300 for your house, I'm going to give you $250. It's more of a,
No.
Listen, here's what's going on in the area. And we're talking about a normal market. Right now,
Right.
it's like a free-for-all.
It is a little crazy right now.
But
Yeah.
you still don't want to go spend $400,000 for a house that's only worth $300,000.
Correct.
And so
Yeah.
what do you tell the people that are calling you now saying, "I'm waiting for the market to drop," which, by the way, it is not going to drop.
Yeah, we have those conversations. We talk a lot about how interest rates and where they are right now, and how affordable it is, even if the prices are higher than what we've been used to, right? The interest rates are still super affordable. So what happens in a year if prices come down a little, but interest rates go up? Right.
Absolutely.
So
So your
there's not.
$300,000 house today at
Exact.
3%,
Yeah.
a $250,000 house in 6 months at 5%,
Correct.
you're not able to afford
Right.
that house.
Right. So we really talk about that, and that is all part of the discussions we have from the get-go, from the pre-qual. If there are concerns, our whole job is to, just have the conversation and make people feel comfortable, but also to educate. So before we're doing anything about pulling in credit or getting into financials, we want to make sure that they have a good understanding of where the market is now, where we, obviously we don't have crystal balls, but, where we see it going as far as rates and different things. But that's our whole role.
Well, it's all part of building a relationship too. So it's not
Correct.
just doing a sale. Hey, it's the same thing. You go. I suppose you probably go to a regular grocery store. You
Yes.
have your neighborhood grocery store?
I do, yes.
Okay, because over the years they build a relationship.
Yes.
Right?
I was just talking to Brandon about this the other day. Yes, I go, he's like, how many times have you been to this particular grocery store? And I said, and he said in the last 24 hours, I said 4 times. Because anytime I need to stop for anything, I go in there. Because they're like my friends. I know them. They know me.
Well,
and it's just comfortable.
No, exactly. It's
Yeah.
comfortable, and you've built a relationship and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And so, and back to the price negotiations, you're not getting ripped off.
Correct.
So in 2019, and this is a nationwide average, so it's definitely not Arizona, but the national average was about $174,900 for a
Okay.
house for 2019. So a couple years ago, before everything happened, that was for a for sale by owner house.
Okay.
Okay. And that person's sitting there thinking, okay, I sold my house for $174,900. I saved 6% commission.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is, same exact house, 2019, with a realtor, the house sold for $225,000.
Wow.
All right, same amount of time
Yeah.
too. So they saved, so let's just say they pay 6% commission, which is $13,500.
Right.
They actually netted an additional $36,600 by using a realtor,
Right to their pocket.
right to their pocket.
Yeah.
And probably less headache too.
A lot
honestly.
less headache because they didn't have to do the work. The realtor did, right? So they weren't the one navigating the phone calls and, dealing with everybody's personality. They had a realtor to go that dealt with, the people that were coming to look at the home. And then they simply sat down and went, okay, here are the different offers, which...
Well, and the other
know.
thing too, when somebody's coming into your house, buyers feel like they're being stalked sometimes if you're doing it for sale by owner.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing worse, and even some of the realtors do it. Not the good ones, and the Grandon Group doesn't. So, but there's nothing worse than somebody just sitting right over your shoulder. What do you,
Oh, gosh, yes.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you want to be able to enjoy.
Yeah, well, if this is a home that you want to see yourself living in and bringing your family into, then you have to be able to feel comfortable in it, right? So you cannot have somebody just, following you around or right over your shoulder. I think you have to just kind of get a sense of, well, what is it going to be like to live here? What does this feel like?
No, that's funny you say
Yeah.
that too. So people ask, hey, when we're going to look at houses, are we going to drive with you? And I'm not opposed to you riding with us, but quite honestly, if you're out looking at a house, don't you want to have that conversation with your husband without another
I
other set of ears?
100%. Because if I'm not having, so if you're in the car and I'm having that conversation, I mean, on one point it's maybe good because then we'll say stuff and you can kind of chime in with your expertise. But no matter what, we're gonna leave there, go to lunch, or end up going home and talking more about it. So I think, I could see it both ways, to be honest.
No, absolutely. But I think people like to talk and then relay it to the
Yes.
realtor, which
Yes.
as they should.
Absolutely.
So the one thing that happens with for sale by owners that doesn't happen with good realtors is you tend to ignore your home flaws. And I know we mentioned a little bit ago.
Yes.
But a realtor, before they list your house, will come in and say, hey, you really should change
Yeah.
that carpet.
Yep.
And they have to know the difference between spending $10,000 of your money if they're going to make that back compared to spending nothing.
Right. I completely agree. I think that is, your eye as a realtor is, it's just your entire job in, to help your client is to, if you're on the listing side, so, you're trying to sell the home, it's to get the most for the most amount of money for the home. So when you're looking, I think we get desensitized to, it's our house, we love it, it's what we're used to, but a stranger coming in, looking at it might, there's certain things that they might want updated, and that's a realtor's whole, I mean, you're doing that day in and day out, looking
Right.
at homes. You're familiar with not only like what needs to be changed, but where the most value is in spending the money. So is it replacing the carpet? Is it updating a cabinet or, you know, something in the kitchen? I mean, that's where your expertise comes
absolutely.
in. So yeah, you don't want somebody to spend more money than they're going to get out of it if they're
Right.
just going to sell. But I think that's huge. And I think a lot of times as a seller, you just think like, oh, my house is perfect, it's beautiful, or whatever. But there are little things like, oh, those holes, we probably need to, where
Exactly.
you tried
exactly.
to hang something and you missed a million times.
Or the dog chewed the baseboard. Maybe you should replace that.
Right. The little things, I think that it goes a long way.
Or move the cat box out of the living room into the, you know, maybe laundry room or something. Just little things like that.
Or
that you
even
would know.
like decluttering, right?
Right.
So a lot of times you just walk in and you're so comfortable because it's your home. But when a buyer's going to come in and look at the property, they need to feel like this is a home that I can live in. So I think one of the big things is just being able to declutter, take out the personal stuff.
It's like that Febreze commercial.
Yes.
You think your house smells like roses, and then you walk in and it's like some big giant dog.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing by having a realtor, you make the showings a little less invasive.
Yes.
So, you know, the realtor knows to stay out of the way and kind of what to look for. Whereas a lot of for sale by owners, they're hovering over you because they expect you to love their house as much as they do. Right?
Yep.
So the other thing too, so this is the next final big thing on this one is being a realtor. So a lot of you ask, okay, you're a realtor. So the fact of the matter is, and I think it's the same with lending, we work for brokers. So you have to have a broker, right?
We do have, yes.
Right. So
we have a broker.
So as a realtor, we have a broker. So I get my license, and you have to 2 out of 5 years in order to get your broker's license. But you can become a broker. But we work underneath a broker. So if we do something wrong, it's really on them.
Gotcha.
Kind of the same thing.
I see what you're saying.
So exposure to legal risk.
Yeah.
So for sale by owner have yes, there's those stories out there. Oh, this was an easy deal, blah, blah, blah. And they did it. But the exposure to legal risk is so big. You fill out those seller disclosures wrong, 5 years later, it's going to come back and bite you in the rear.
Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest one we've talked about. I worry a lot. I am a worrier, and that is one thing I don't want to worry about.
No, absolutely.
Right? I'm not the professional. I don't know all the boxes to check when it comes to being a real estate agent or selling my house. So why would I want to take on that liability?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And any realtor will, should tell you the same thing. Mm-hmm. So the contracts anymore, like 15 pages. And I think the average contract has like 35 pages of stuff to fill out, just little documentations. And if you miss one, that's the one thing that's going to come back and bite you in the rear.
Yeah.
We have one. So if, let's say my sister and I are selling a house and buying it, so it's called a dual agency.
Yep.
So if we don't have that paperwork filled out, those people have recourse on you for not disclosing, even though you may have told them verbally, but for not having it in writing. Oh, you guys work at the same brokerage? You guys worked against us, that type of stuff. So, and those are the kind of things you want to avoid.
There's so much. I mean, honestly, I feel like we can go on and on and on about all the kind of downfalls of not using a realtor. And I don't even know what the upsell would be after looking at all those downfalls, because even when you get into inspections you open yourself up to a whole lot.
Well, and even if you're doing it for sale by owner, you have deadlines to hit. You got inspections, you've got loan contingencies to hit, and you've got generally quite a bit of earnest money, which is the money you put down to hold it, and you're going to lose it if you don't hit some of these deadlines. And it's amazing. A lot of people know that, and they try to trap you into that so they can just keep your money.
That has been done.
It has been.
Yep. You got to be very careful.
So bottom line is hire a realtor.
Yeah,
and
I
so
agree.
we're actually offering this new no lockbox listing, and it's great because who better to sell your house than the realtors you hire? And you should absolutely interview realtors, specifically the Grandon Group, Arizona's #1 brother and sister team, right?
Yes.
But no, seriously, interview your agents, and they should be at every showing. I mean, even if the house is vacant.
Yeah.
So who better to sell your house than the person you hired?
Yeah, that doesn't always happen.
It doesn't. It's amazing.
It probably doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And you don't want people just coming through your house and using the lockbox to use the bathroom. I mean, there's some weird stuff that goes on. So bottom line, full-time agent for your full-time life.
Yeah.
And make sure you hire agents that
I
work for
agree.
you.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Check out who you're working with. It's important.
Look at this. We actually did a real estate show today.
Yay. That's fun.
Usually-
I know, but we have so many fun guests.
We do. We
I
have
love
some
to have
great
the
guests.
But this has been nice. And we kind of match.
We do.
I don't know. We didn't plan it, but.
So Angela, pre-quals, refis, everything else, how can people reach out to you?
Refis, call us 623-979-5523 or by email, Hendricks Team at VIPMTGINC.com.
Hey, and I can't emphasize it enough. It's a confidential conversation with you guys. I mean,
It is.
they don't even call the
Absolutely.
realtors and say, Jason, this person you just sent us, they can't qualify for anything. They actually
No, never.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
they sit there. If you can't qualify, they keep it, and they're like, hey, wait 6 months, do A, B, and C, and we'll
Yeah.
get you a house.
Yeah, we stick with you as long as you're willing to work towards it. We're right there. We're your we're your cheerleaders. So
And renters, I know there's a ton of renters out here. It's cheaper to buy right now.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time, if you rent a $2,000 a month house, you're putting your first month's rent down, 1 month security deposit, and a few other fees. So you're essentially 3.5% down with some of the programs you have.
yeah.
So you're better off buying.
Yeah,
And it's cheaper.
And with rates so low, it's silly not to. At least make the phone call. Know where you stand. I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's just a call,
Absolutely.
and then you know.
Absolutely. Hey, and it's the same thing with the realtors. If you guys have real estate questions, it's no obligation. And my sister and I and our team, Cody and Tiffany, everybody else, is great to work with. It's confidential. We'll answer any questions you want. If we don't know the answer, we'll probably call Robin, the producer, and she'll tell us. And we'll have a good time doing it. But either way, Angela, how can we reach out to you to get pre-qualified again?
Yeah, 623-979-5523 or Hendricks Team at VIPMTGINC.com.
All right, and keep in mind that Grandon Group, Arizona's #1 brother and sister team, now handles all of Maricopa County, Flagstaff, Prescott Valley, Mare. You can reach out to my sister at 602-312-5610. You can always call me. Of course, you can always reach out via email on the site. But hey, this was pretty good.
Yeah, had fun.
So what was our
Glad to
takeaway
be
today?
back. Hire a realtor and get pre-qualified with the Hendricks Team at VIP
That's
Mortgage.
right, and not just any realtor. The Grandon Group, Arizona's #1 brother and sister
That's
team.
right.
Hey, another episode of the Lockbox. We will see you guys next week. We've got some great guests coming up for the remainder of the year. So we'll see you soon on the Lockbox.